My favorite topic, maximizing scholarship money. I want to go over scholarship money and everything that you and your student need to know to take advantage of this debt-free funding source. So scholarships are the best way to fund a college education. It's money that can pay for many different things from many different sources, and it doesn't have to be paid back. So that should sound amazing to everyone, right? So understanding how to find, apply for, and maximize scholarship money is one of the most important strategies you and your student can focus on when it comes to avoiding student loan debt. Here is everything you need to know in order to maximize scholarship opportunities. Now, make sure you hit subscribe because every week I have a new strategy for you and your student to work towards a debt-free degree. Hey there, my name is Jocelyn Pearson, founder of the Scholarship System, where we redefine paying for college to help families build strong financial futures rather than ones buried in debt. Now, scholarships are our bread and butter. I got 6 figures, literally got paid to go to college, and our families have secured over $13 million to date. We have also given out tens of thousands of dollars in our own scholarships. So we've been on the receiving side, we've been on the giving side. So we've seen pretty much everything and anything when it comes to applying for scholarships. Now, just a quick note, this is focused on U.S. citizens and permanent residents, not international students. Let's dive in. So first and foremost, what is scholarship money? Scholarship money is financial aid money awarded to students based on various criteria. It can range from academic achievements, extracurriculars, financial need, community service, talents. There are so many different reasons that students can receive scholarship money, but it does not have to be paid back. Now, I'm going to give you just kind of our main categories of the types of scholarship money out there. First and foremost are merit-based scholarships. This is what a lot of families think about when they think about, oh, my kid's going to get a scholarship when their child is a young student. These are ones that are awarded based on demonstrated excellence, maybe in academics. A lot of families think athletics, right? So when they start grooming their child from a young age to be a Michael Jordan, they're thinking, oh, my student's going to get a scholarship for this. That is a merit-based scholarship, which, by the way, athletic scholarships are less than 2% of athletes. Just a quick note. So we don't want to just focus there. Now, these can be based on, again, GPA, standardized test scores, notable achievements, really standing out. Of course, they will be competitive. So standing out on that application or portfolio, or if we have to send videos of our academic or athletic achievements, whatever it is, we will have to stand out to get that money. And this money is typically awarded through the universities or the institutions. There is also need-based scholarships. So this is where scholarship money is awarded based on a student's financial need. These are typically designed for lower income families, although even families that make 6 figures can fall into this depending on your family's situation. Now, what is used to determine this? Typically FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. However, even if your FAFSA says that you and your student are not eligible based on those numbers for federal money, that does not mean that scholarships will not consider your student in the bracket of financial need. They might have a very clear FAFSA number, but it may be more gray than that. They might see, oh, okay, FAFSA says you guys can afford this, but we know that that amount cannot cover a college degree. So your student does still have financial needs. So this is a little gray depending on how the scholarship states it. Next, there can be specialized scholarships. So these could be things that are specific to interests or maybe demographics like minority or female or STEM or first generation. Maybe it's based on a certain field of study that your student's pursuing. These can be less competitive depending on the field and the amount of competition, especially if they are very specific targets. Now, with specialized scholarships, universities will give out some of these depending on your student's major and stuff, but we can also get them from private institutions or private organizations. So when we're talking about those private sources, we're talking about outside money. A lot of times we'll call this private scholarships, third-party scholarships, or outside scholarships. Now, that is how I primarily paid for my degree. My university actually did not give me much at all. So if you want to learn more about my story, how I got 6 figures in scholarships, and my 6 steps to securing scholarships that have helped families do the same, you can check out my free training at thescholarshipsystem.com/free training, or click on this video, open it up outside of this one, We'll also link to it in the description below, but that webinar will get you started on those. And lastly, another category, which I kind of touched on, are institutional scholarships. So this is money given from the universities, the institutions themselves. These can drastically reduce the bill for some students. For me, it didn't. I actually had to focus on private outside scholarships. But for some students, they can knock off tens of thousands of dollars by going to a school that's willing to give them money. This can be based on merit, this can be based on need, community service, etc. Universities have all different types of funding for different reasons. Also, sometimes they are renewable, meaning all 4 years or all the years that your student's there. Sometimes they are not. So we always want to make sure that we know that. And that's the same with private scholarships as well. Sometimes they're renewable, sometimes they're not. So next I want to get into how to find them, how to apply to them, and how to maximize them. So stick with me. I've got a lot to cover. So when it comes to finding scholarship money, there are a lot of different ways. This is what we cover in the scholarship system, step 3 in our online course. We go all into where to find them. But first and foremost, we want to start with the schools. Even if your student is younger, we can start looking on those financial aid websites, seeing what the targets are, what score does my student need to get, what GPA do they need in order to qualify for money through the university. But we also want to check for those outside sources I mentioned. So local community organizations, Elks Clubs, Civics Clubs, Rotary Clubs, PTAs, PTSAs, student organizations, clubs they're a part of. There's limitless resources of outside scholarships as well, which is, again, what we cover in that free webinar I mentioned. We also want to look into national and corporate scholarships. So a lot of people hear about the Coca-Cola or the KFC, the Gates Millennium. These are very, very competitive scholarships. So if your student is top of the top, then they can go for these. If not, then we want to find the lower hanging fruit, the smaller dollar ones that aren't as competitive. But still, it's worth looking into these big name brands to see if they offer money. Starbucks, Burger King, etc. Again, I cover all this in more detail in that free training. It's all about where to find the legitimate scholarships with less competition. Okay, how do we apply? So applying for scholarships really requires attention to detail and following the rules, and of course, meeting the deadlines. So first and foremost, we want to make sure that we meet all of the eligibility requirements. If your student does not, then we don't want to waste our time. Now, if they're on the fence, we might be able to reach out through email and contact and see, hey, I don't meet this one, but is that okay? They might get an exception, but for the most part, we need to make sure that we meet the criteria, whether it's GPA, class years, major, etc. And eligibility also has to do with meeting the deadlines. We do not want to submit it late. Next, we want to prepare competitive application materials. So in the scholarship system, this is what we cover in step 5. It is a very thick step, how to write competitive essays, how to perfect all of the materials that go into the application, even interviewing if a scholarship requires that. But overall, we want to make sure that we are selling a compelling story to committees that make them want to give the money to our child. We want to think about how will our child be a good investment for this committee? How will they take this money and do something with it and do something with their life because of it? And then lastly, we want to make sure we are applying to as many as possible. So my free ride, how I got 6 figures, wasn't that I got one big win that gave me all this money. It was actually a ton of smaller scholarships that added up to a free ride. So I had lots of different sources, lots of different applications, lots of different wins that got me to that 6 figures in scholarships. So this is where we want our student to keep on applying. If they submit only 5 applications and expect a free ride, they're probably not going to get it. We need to continue applying, not just in our senior year in high school or even junior year in high school, but have them continue applying all throughout college years as well. This is why I love the scholarship system, because families, when they learn it, they can use it for junior year, senior year in high school, and all 4 years of college. Now, comment below, have you and your student set a certain number of scholarships for them to apply to? If so, what is the goal? Is it a certain amount per week, certain amount per month, certain amount per school year? I'd love to know. And bonus tips if you share how you find them. So, for example, are you doing the searching or are they? Is it a team process? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this so that other families can also learn and benefit from each other's experiences. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about was how to maximize this money. So understanding all the rules, the eligibility that goes into these scholarships, that is critical, because the thing is sometimes they are renewable. Sometimes they are renewable automatically, meaning as long as your student keeps up a certain GPA and maintains a full-time roster of classes, they automatically get the money all 4 years, or sometimes even a 5th year. Or sometimes it'll be renewable based on reapplying. I had multiple that were like this, where I did have to submit another application, but as an alum, I had kind of like a priority for receiving the money. So this was an advantage, and actually by getting a award each year, the amount tended to increase each year that I was in school, which was pretty cool. I think it was something of the nature of they saw what I was doing. They saw, okay, she's getting closer to graduation. She's really going to graduate. So they gave more money. Now, others don't renew at all, but still we want to make sure that we're thanking the committee. We are following up with them. We want to make sure that we are gracious for it. And that can possibly turn into networking opportunities, maybe for an internship or something like that, if we can't get more money from it. So lots of reasons why we want to make sure that we are keeping up with this so that we can really maximize that money source. Okay, that's a lot, but it's not quite where to get started, right? So if you want specific steps on how to start working on these scholarships with your student, check out that free webinar I talked about. Go to thescholarshipsystem.com/free training. We will link to it in the description below, or you can click on this video and get started there. I cover the exact steps on how I got 6 figures. I show you exactly how to identify legitimate scholarships with less competition. But overall, scholarships will be your student's best chance at graduating debt-free or drastically reducing what they have to borrow or what you as a parent have to co-sign on. So we really, really want to make sure that we are maximizing these opportunities. Okay, let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you liked this video, and I'll see you in the next one.